Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creativity-Hive's weekly program. My name is Miriam Haugen, and I am part of the Creativity-Hive team. We help budding videographers achieve massive post-production skills through one-on-one teaching and live group coaching in Premiere Pro and After Effects. And our weekly Hangout brings you people working in the video industry from across the globe. So be sure and leave a comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. Today, we are talking with Jim Tierney from Digital Anarchy, and so happy to have you with us, Jim.
Hey, Miriam, how you doing?
I'm good. So tell us about what Digital Anarchy is and what you do.
What is Digital Anarchy? So we've been developing plugins for various video editing host apps for about 20 years. We started off doing After Effects plugins and, quickly started doing Premiere and Final Cut, and now we do Resolve and Avid and all the different host apps. We kind of started off life doing more kind of motion graphics type plugins, but these days most of our stuff is really focused on video editing itself. So the company has shifted a little bit over the course of time.
Well, we love plugins. I'm going to bring Mo and Neil on here because I know they're going to have lots of things they want to talk about. So, but how did you fall into this? What path did you follow to get to where you're at?
Well, I went to college for economics, which makes a whole lot of sense if you're going to go into video editing, or it doesn't. But then got into doing graphic design. Eventually got hired by a company called MetaTools back in the 90s to do QA on their Photoshop plugins. So if you've been around for a while, you might remember Kai's Power Tools and Bryce and stuff like that. That was all kind of the first products that I worked on. And so that just got me into the whole software development side of things. And then worked for a company called Total Training / Atomic Power. And we did a plugin set for After Effects, which actually got purchased by Adobe a little bit after I left that company. So there's a good chunk of the plugins in that ship with After Effects I've had something to do with. Which is kind of neat.
That's fantastic. So is it part of the Psycho stuff?
Yeah. So MetaTools. Yeah, MetaTools was the distributor for Final Effects. And so I did quality assurance on that product. And then, of course, Adobe bought that or did whatever they did with it. And so that's part of it. The Atomic Power Evolution plugins I did QA on and a little bit of product management on. There's a whole bunch of plugins that ship with After Effects that I had my hands on way.
Then you began, going over from where you began to coding. Are you hard coding these plugins yourself?
I'm not doing the coding. You don't want me coding. No, I'm more the I have my partner Garrick, who is the director of engineering, who I started the company with. He's sort of the lead on all that stuff. We're a company of 7 people these days. We have 3 engineers. But I understand enough about it that I can talk sensibly to.
I just want to know what Callie does.
Let me finish my one thought there. So I'm I'm kind of the go-between between the engineers and the artists. And so, I'm the one that comes up with kind of the ideas, and, I understand what we can do on the coding side and what, hopefully what video editors and MoGraph artists and other folk want. So,
well, it's pretty interesting because I think that Digital Anarchy, it stands aside for me, being a very avid user of After Effects on a daily basis. So I go through a lot of these plugins, And a lot of transitioning is happening in the industry, as you can see.
Mhm.
Red Giant, Maxon, things are getting changed around. They're getting acquired. It's just a lot of stuff. And these are kind of the giants that are playing in this arena. And for me, Digital Anarchist, I've been using your plugins for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've been watching it, and you guys haven't ever kind of like DFX, Tiffin. It was the same kind of thing. It was independent, and then it kind of fell under the radar. I'm not hearing much about it. Light Race 2 came out, and then it just kind of went quiet and stuff. But Digital Anarchy somehow, and I would love to know how this happened, has survived and is surviving the storm, which is very admirable at a point where, companies are getting really massive. And I was quite
Mhm.
interested when Carla said to me, it's a privately owned company. And I looked at the website and I said, these guys are still surviving. How is this done? Because I'm sure you've seen a massive difference between 2 years back and 3 years, and even a year back to now. So what's the secret of the survival? Because I'd love to learn a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, this kind of consolidations happened before, where you see companies kind of get acquired and then, new companies pop up. So, it's kind of a cyclical thing. But, for us, I think it's, I mean, the one thing that is really important for us is just customer service and support. We still have a phone line that you can call us and harass us
Yeah.
if you want,
Yeah, I want to do that. Yeah. So it's kind of based on your loyal customer service and the human touch. So you're humanizing it really.
Yeah, I mean, like word of mouth is like critical for us. It's we don't have huge marketing budgets,
Yeah.
so you're not going to see full page ads in like all the Post magazines. So we rely heavily on folks saying nice things about us. So if you want that, you generally have to be nice to people and say nice things to them. So that tends to help. So
speaking of which, we have plans to do a show where we critique some of your plugins. So that's
Cool.
not scheduled yet. Stay tuned, guys, and we'll be doing that. And see, now these guys like to break things, though.
Yeah,
that's fine. Well, I mean, I started off life as a QA engineer, so that's I'm all about breaking stuff.
Well, your stuff is pretty much rock solid from what I've seen so far. Yep. I've never had it crash on me. I've had other people's stuff crash on me because
you can only do so much. I mean, it's there's so many different graphics cards and
absolutely
just so many different configurations that you can't test every single thing. But it comes down to how do you respond to that when you do have a customer that has a crash, and how fast can we fix that and stuff like that.
Are you guys
speaking of which, that note, let's go back to Callie, and we can talk about her role in the company.
Oh yeah, just a sec. Let me just.
Speaking of breaking things.
Oh yes. Okay.
So all of the various Digital Anarchy pets are.
It's not all showing. Let me see if I can get her all on there. Just
have official roles in the company. Callie is the director of IT obsolescence, and so she helps us identify obsolete equipment by chewing on the power cords.
Yes, Callie.
I need to get it so we can actually see her. Yeah. Just a sec. Sorry about that, guys. Okay.
So she's trained to not sniff out bombs or drugs.
No, she's just trained to sniff out obsolete equipment,
cables,
things that we really need to buy, like a new one of. Clearly, and you can't quite. It's not on the screen. It's hard to see, but that is a fan power cord that has now been chewed in half. So clearly an obsolete fan that we needed to replace. So anyways.
And so you've got Kelly and Fierce and Molotov Cupcake.
Yeah. Molotov Cupcake, who's our VP of cuteness, and Fierce Peanut, who is director of chair warming.
Okay. Okay, so she sits around and just looks cute. That's awesome. I love it. And this is pretty much kind of the team, right? So it's yourself and Garrick and Joe and Ryan and George and
Okay.
then Carla and so forth.
Yep,
Okay, so
that's our team.
that's Garrick, right?
I was going to say the team is more than myself, Callie, and Fierce Peanut and Molotov Cupcake. It's not just me and my pets.
Right.
Good.
Well, we're all
glad you said
interested
that.
in the pets. Hey, what do we say? What can we say?
So
Let me
Garrick,
see.
he
Here's
was in
George
ILM,
with
right?
pets.
So,
We love the matching shirts.
oh boy,
Yep.
this is so cool.
We're all about the pets around here, apparently.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Here we
this is
go.
your quality control.
So do you all come into the office then?
Well, we used to. We are slowly going back to that.
Right.
You know, at this point, we're in about 3 days a week, give or take, and yeah, we're slowly getting back to normal. So that's nice.
And I see the only person that doesn't have a picture up is Joe Junkin.
Yeah, I don't know why Joe doesn't have a picture, but
Well, need to
yeah,
pester
it happens.
him. Being camera shy.
So he's your software engineer, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
engineers don't like to be seen in public. They like to live in dark caves under wires.
Yes, exactly.
That get
Well,
chewed by dogs.
Generally, it's better if the engineers are often
Hidden away. Yeah,
Yes.
hidden away. If you've seen Adobe's
they're not the
know.
Sorry, go ahead.
If you know Adobe, if you've seen Adobe's engineers, and I'm saying this public and it's fine, you'd know what I was saying. So, you know, I imagined initially Adobe's engineers sitting in this really great Apple-esque kind of glass building and overlooking a huge Google-ish kind of, courtyard with palm trees and, donuts around the corner and a coffee shop with everyone drinking a cappuccino. And then I got onto a conference call. Holy God, it wasn't COVID. No, it was not COVID. It was a normal working day. I'm like, okay, head of engineering and head of this. And I'm like, why are you in this place? So they all sit at home in their flats or their homes, and they prefer that sort of environment compared to the marketing guys and the PR people, because they're hard coded in. If you're a coder, you understand it. You just jack in and they concentrate on that completely. So I guess that kind of makes me understand why Joe just doesn't want to be in the limelight. What was interesting?
I'm not sure what the deal was. That
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
No, I'm not sure why he doesn't have a photo up there, but yeah, one of the funny things. Generally, you do not want the engineers being your customer-facing people.
I wonder why.
Yes.
There is another company that I have worked with that was connected to by Adobe, and when I was kind of wondering about how their company was structured, because in communicating with them and working out a couple issues seemed kind of interesting, and so got to sit down in NAB with like the 5 people that are the top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they were clearly all 5 engineers.
Yeah.
I mean, engineers. And the guy that was the media marketing guy I was looking at it, and I was just kind of looking around at this group and going, whoa. And I just looked at him and I pointed at this, and you ended up being head of marketing because everybody else just pointed at you and said, it ain't going to be me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, they need help.
So Jim,
they're tremendous at their product, but yeah, they're not the forward-pacing people you want to the public.
it sounds like you're a little bit smarter than that, because here we go. We've got a surprise guest. Carla's with us.
Carla, hey.
Hello.
Hello, Carla. Hi. Hey, nice to see
Hi.
you. Yeah, we twisted her arm to get on. Hopefully, she doesn't get into trouble too. It was our fault. Don't blame her.
Right.
Just kidding.
She is one of our better customer-facing people, for sure.
Yes, definitely. The experience I've had with Carla from day one, I can speak for all of us here, I'm sure, it's just amazing service. Absolutely stunning service. It's crazy. So I guess that's a great way to keep the company afloat and understand what you're talking about when you say keep the humanizing factor in place. what I wanted to have a chat with you about really was your video, your plugins. You got video and you got photography. So the video, you've broken them into a few. There's Beauty Box and Flicker Free and Light Wrap and Samurai Sharpen amongst the last two, which are pretty interesting. Is there any particular reason that you've chosen those almost genres really to focus on when there's a plethora of different plugins out there at the moment, from particle systems to lighting, optical flare, different companies. Is there a reason that you've kept it within these kind of four genres really? Is there any reason?
I mean, basically I look around for problems that have not really been solved well, and it's a combination of finding things that there's a need for, but then also sort of is in our skill set in terms of being able to come up with a good solution for it. So I mean, that's really just finding the intersection of something that needs to be done and our ability to do it. And we're very much our strength is kind of in the visual effects side of things. Yeah. Early on we were doing stuff like particle systems and stuff like that, but it's just kind of morphed over time into doing again, helping people kind of fix video as opposed to doing kind of the MoGraph stuff.
Well, I have to jump in here and say that the Beauty Box that you do, which is, and it isn't just a skin fixer. I've seen that used where it was actually used to develop part of the look to soften, because a lot of times film had a little bit less critically sharp, shall we say. And I've seen Beauty Box used actually to give just a little bit of softness that way. But that, and then the opposite program, Samurai Sharpening, which really does an amazing job. That's an interesting pair to have going against each other, or with each other, I should say.
Just to change the look, not just to fix things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can be used in all sorts of different ways, and it's definitely possible to use both of them at the same time, where you might want to sharpen up somebody's eyes or something, but you don't want to sharpen their skin, of course. And that was really the gist of Samurai Sharpen, is just giving you a lot more flexibility than just the standard sharpen that ships with Premiere, where it just kind of affects the entire frame, because generally you don't want sharpening to affect everything, especially skin tones. But
and these days, so often we're getting stuff where you get some material that maybe you're shooting a 1920 project, a 1080 project, but somebody's throwing some 1280 720 media at you, and 1280 720 dumped into a 1080 doesn't look too. And then if they say, and actually we want go to UHD on it, whoa. In Houston, we have a problem.
And 8K is just around the corner.
Yeah, it's around the corner. Are you guys developing for the M1 chip yet?
Yeah, we have all of our stuff, I think, has been ported. I think some of the free plugins have not been ported yet, but all the paid plugins are M1 compatible. Yeah,
which brings me to something super interesting, the transcriptive rough cutter. I found it super intriguing, really. And my first question was to myself, it was speech to text. And then I came across a super interesting article that I think you wrote, right?
Possible.
Yeah, I think it was you explaining the difference between the speech to text service compared to transcriptive cutter. And it goes pretty deep compared to what speech to text actually does. And I don't know if Neil's seen it or anyone else has seen it, but everyone, actually, I want to put a link up at some point. I'm going to put it up now. And Miriam can bring it up. I think everyone should read this, because it's very, very interesting to see the differences, and that transcriptive cutter goes so deep two AI services.
Do you mean the
Yeah,
difference between Adobe's speech to
yeah,
text? Okay.
yes, that's right. That kind of blog article that I was reading, and it was pretty interesting because your outputs is SRT, VTT, SCC, MCC, SMTP. It's really very cool, and I think it's underexposed at this point, and we would love to expose it a little bit more. I was talking to Carla about it, and she says this is how you get it, and so forth. And I'd love to kind of experiment and see what exactly is this thing. Is my question.
Oh,
I know what it is, but I want people to answer.
So Transcriptive Rough Cutter is, originally we started off doing just a transcription tool for Premiere, which is great because you can get, text versions of all the dialogue in your footage, right? Which makes it easy to search, makes it easy to, searching is kind of the critical thing, but then you can also do captions and stuff like that. But it's sort of morphed into allowing you to actually edit with text and use those transcripts to, cut out, sound bites from, this clip or that clip and put them all together in a sequence. Of course, you can still generate captions with all this stuff. But, it's really designed to help you, edit by looking at the transcript as opposed to having to scrub through endless amounts of footage to find, like a soundbite or something like that.
Quite powerful, actually. Very
yeah, and then we have.
When was that launched, by the way?
The first version came out 2017.
Okay.
So it's been out for a while. It uses AI to get the transcripts. Although
your
you can.
AI is your AI. I'm sorry. Is your AI proprietary? It's your. You guys.
No, we use a couple different services, kind of depending on what the footage is. What the quality level of the footage, how much noise there is, stuff like that. What language you're trying to transcribe. But aside from the editing with text, it also has another plugin called Power Search.
Yes.
That lets you search not only just one transcript, but every piece of footage in your project that has a transcript. So, if you've got hundreds of hours of footage and they all have transcripts and you're trying to figure out where the talent said, you're doing a documentary or something and you're like, where did that guy say that thing? I know what he said, but it's somewhere in this hundreds of hours of footage.
Yeah.
And then the Power Search allows you to find it.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Crazy.
So I'm gonna cut in here because I want to hear from Carla. Carla, how did you get connected with this group of crazy people at Digital Anarchy?
I'm glad you said that, not me.
I can say that.
It was actually through Transcriptive. So my background is journalism and filmmaking. So it's actually pretty amazing to see, how far the plugin, developed and integrated within the tools and the whole set that we have all working together now. Because I started when I was in film school, I came as an international student to the US. And then I found in Transcriptive a really good option to kind of start my first movie. And, as a one-man band or woman, it's super hard to go through all these stages of production. You gotta, do funding. You gotta have people to edit. You gotta have people to transcribe. You gotta have people to film. So I think I had support from friends and, who I couldn't pay, who are also filmmakers, but I couldn't have them do the whole transcription process and go through, the content with me because everybody had to survive. So I think Transcriptive was a really good tool for me at the time. And I really started as, a user, which is pretty amazing because it allowed me to basically transcribe all my footage really quickly and just scrub through and, share what I wanted on each sample with the people working with me without too much time or effort. So, and now we are, a whole integrated set of tools when we have Power Search and we have the web app that gives the support for sharing. And now I can share footage with someone in LA who was helping me with the film. So it was that way that I got in touch with DA and with the team.
So you started out as a user, and so how did you? So you weren't really a marketer before.
Yeah.
Now you're a marketing person.
It's like reverse.
Yeah, I'm a
It's
little
almost
bit of
like
everything.
I mean, like in the
Yeah.
Twilight Zone. I mean, Jim started as something else, and now is and then. Oh dear. Okay, cool company.
Well, I think if you're doing your own film, you have to be a marketer to some degree.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
You've got to have some skills in that area if you're going to be doing your own thing.
So, Carlo, could you say hey Mo? Could you say hey Mo? How you doing? Could you say that for me?
Hey Mo, how are you doing?
I love that accent. I just because it's, in South Africa you get two accents, bland and bland. It's like everything's just monotone. It's like so Jim Carlo's been great on support. Really an exceptional service. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. I pop a WhatsApp. Nobody answers WhatsApp, if they don't know the person. And she was very friendly, and I think a super asset to the company, as I'm sure most of yours. I wish we got all your stuff, and I really wish we had the time to have had that.
Well, both of you, I'm going to just kick in right here and just say as a personal note that both of you have great voices. Of course, I love the Brazilian in Carla's accent. And Jim, you've got that deep rumble. Have you ever thought of doing voiceovers?
Well, I do the voiceovers for the DA tutorials, and there's also I do a thing for Burning Man that I've been doing for the last 15 years, where I do kind of a docent-led tour of the major art installations for the org. But cool. I'm pretty busy, so. Jumping into a new career.
Voiceovers to your plate is not what you. But I'm curious. So, did you start out doing the marketing for Digital Anarchy?
Mm-hmm.
I figured.
I mean, I started off doing everything except for the coding. So
yeah.
So
you always found you were the person who says we need something that does X, and then you found somebody that could do the coding to make that happen.
Yeah, so the way it started off was, I'd been developing plugins for 4 or 5 years by the time I started the company. And then, had always had some ideas and came up to San Francisco for the whole .com 1.0 thing. So I did that for about a year, and then that all imploded. And then I just went back to kind of doing my own thing for my own company. But I hired Garrick to do the first product, and then about halfway through it, started running out of money. I'm just like, well, do you want a third of the company? He was kind of stupid enough to take it, and it worked out, and the company almost failed the first year, and then it didn't, and here we are.
Here you are.
Great. So, Carla, are you working on your a documentary feature film? Yes.
Ooh, not really. I mean, life happened and changed the course of things. It's like doing marketing for DA. You have to be open for things to change, and it's not a straightforward. I think, we get into a cycle of we need money to fund, we need funds to money, and you get into that. And my movie kind of got stuck in that cycle. And in, changing careers, the transition to marketing, it wasn't a dramatic change, but because I think DA is a very content marketing, customer oriented company. So it wasn't hard for me to get into that, but it is a change. And, it was still a very foreign country to me. So I kind of had to focus on changing careers, learning English. I didn't speak English. And kind of getting used to the culture and the day.
How'd you hire her, Jim, if she didn't speak English?
No, I did.
Did you? Okay.
By the time she got to us, she spoke amazing English, and the fact that she's not a native speaker is kind of mind blowing, because you have good English.
And
No,
you-
you have better English skills than I do.
Carla sounds like she's been speaking English along
Forever.
with
Thank you.
other
Yeah.
forever.
No, I think
yeah.
it's because when I started DA, I started doing some more writing, and that's a little different, right? So I think I kind of wanted to focus on, because I think when you're not a native speaker, you tend to write in your native, language and then translate. And I really didn't want to do that. So I think I could talk and I could, but I really wanted to focus on grammar and like writing as I'm writing in English and writing Portuguese as I'm writing Portuguese. So I think the movie kind of got in the background, and yeah, so it doesn't mean it's not gonna come back, but it was just a big
Okay.
change
Well,
for
Carla,
me.
I was an English lit major in college all those years ago, which means that, yeah, I naturally kind of have the little red pen or pencil over the ear kind of thing. And your grammar is pretty much spotless, because of course
Thank you.
I naturally, I notice that. I don't normally comment to people because it would make them very uncomfortable, but your grammar is pretty well spotless, and that you've picked this up and worked on it on your own. Jim, you have quite a capable young person there.
Yeah, her grammar is far better than mine. If you ever read my writing, it's it's a hot mess in terms of it's like most native speakers. It's like, what's a past participle? What
I
is
do
this
have a
stuff?
journalism background though, so
that probably
that
would
helps.
help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
yeah.
then you also do assistive teaching, yes? Or is that also something that you were doing?
Yeah, so when I got to the US, I couldn't really work. So I kind of just started helping. My aunt has an assistive technology company. She's legally blind, and have been giving, providing services for the government for a long time, for the rehabilitation services. So when I got here, I wanted to learn more about, her world and how her company worked. So I started helping her in the office, and I really wanted to help other people. And actually, there were some filmmakers that I knew that had some vision loss. So I kind of tried to, learn more about how the software worked with filmmaking tools, or how they survived, and how they, as they lost their sight, how they would get back into filmmaking, what they could do and what they couldn't do. So I started, after I got my documents and could work, I became an assistive technology trainer for my aunt, and a large part of my work at school, doing short videos and stuff, were around assistive technology.
Okay, that's great. Jim, just a question. How are you guys finding competition over the last year compared to what it was like before? Having, it was a smaller market sector, and now it's grown exponentially, I would say.
I don't think it's competition wise for us. It's not significantly different than it always has been. The company's kind of changed names a little bit, and certainly there's been more acquisitions. A lot of people are switching to the subscriber model, which I'm not crazy about. And so offering perpetual licenses has become something of a competitive advantage for some people.
Yeah.
Who don't want to do the whole SaaS thing.
Yeah, it's become a competitive advantage, I guess. However, it kind of narrows down your customer base if you look at the SaaS model, because uh, the guys go in and they say perpetual license, and they buy it, and that's the end of the purchase, and it's not ongoing revenue. So, are you at all going to look at that model at some point in time, or are you going to stick to?
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, yeah, we'll probably look at it, but I mean, there's always upgrades. It's not, it's certainly a perpetual license for a given version.
Yeah.
But as we make changes, we tend to release, new versions of it, and those have an upgrade fee. So there is some recurring revenue in that sense. It is not. It's not like a subscription model where it's like, I guess, guaranteed, but you're still, you have customers that are ongoing, and as you come out with new products, because part of the whole SaaS thing is that, it's a bundle of all your products. And so as you come out with new products, they kind of get wrapped up into your whole subscription thing. And, with us, it's, we're selling, the products individually. So, there's revenue that way. There's revenue from upgrades, as we improve things, and so, the interesting thing about the whole perpetual license thing is that, people want that, but then, 5 years later, they're like, well, why do I have to pay an upgrade for this?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
you want 5 years of support and fixing bugs and all this other stuff. And it's like, we can't do that for free.
Yeah, yes,
Right.
absolutely.
So
They don't think about it in the long term. Initially it's fine, and then they get tired, and then they ask you, do you have a perpetual license, like for Adobe stuff? Can I buy a whole lifetime worth of Adobe CC Desktop Creative Cloud? And the answer is no. And after 25 years of service, Neil? Yes, 25 years at Adobe, you get a lifetime CC subscription, like a gold watch for a cop, I guess, a police officer. That's it was on the show last week, I think, and that's what you actually get. So I like the model that you guys follow. It's a traditional model. It's great. I've been around long enough to have seen the companies begin, and this is the original model, and I'm so excited to see that you guys haven't changed it, and that's what has caught my eye with Digital Anarchy. You stick to your value system. It's so untraditional in today's society that it's quite shocking, but it's so pleasant. I think you have a great team of people working with you. Your staff is rock tight and solid, and I cross all my fingers, toes, and every appendage that I possibly have that you guys survive into the next 100 years, because your companies like
I will
yours,
probably not be working at that point.
No, I should hope that.
I might need a break from it. It's
Yeah.
Well, Carla alluded to the fact that this top secret project called Reversing Time plugin that you can apply to a human being. I'm not sure how it works, but it makes you younger. But which leads me to a question, which
we keep
be able to answer. Yeah, go ahead.
No, well, we keep getting people asking for a real-time version of Beauty Box that they can just apply to, their skin out in the world, but we have not figured that out yet.
Well, if you believe in Apple's marketing hype and engine, it might be possible with the M1 chip. You never know. They've said stranger things. It can jump out of its case at you and beautify you and all sorts of weird stuff. Are you guys working on any? I know you might not be able to answer this, and you don't have to, but I'm hoping there's something new coming soon.
We are working on new stuff. Probably nothing that I can talk about right now.
Sure.
We just released Transcriptive Rough Cutter, so that was kind of in the pipeline for a while. Right. And we had a bunch of updates to the various visual effects plugins. Because of M1, because of the new version of FCP, whole bunch of updates and upgrades and stuff that we had to get out. But we are definitely looking at a bunch of new things, and we'll probably have more to talk about in that regard, in a couple months.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, do you guys get any sort of feedback from your users, or suggestions or recommendations? Do you have any sort of feedback system where you can understand end users' needs, or maybe something they want to see incorporated into one of your plugins? Is there something like that?
Yeah, we get emails all the time saying, "Why doesn't it do this?"
Okay.
So we get a lot of we see a lot of feedback that way. And also periodically I'll send out surveys asking folks, "Hey, any problems you guys have that you'd like solved?"
We might be able to solve. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
So that's one way of
that's one way of your feedback. Yeah, absolutely. So Carla, what is it like working with these bunch of anarchists? It's just, I was looking for a word. I just found it. Anarchists. You can tell.
That's these crazy people.
These crazy people. They're a bunch of crazy nuts and loons. but great guys. So how's it? What is a working day like for you? You get in there, a dog attacks you and tries to chew your handbag because you got an old iPhone cable in there. Okay, we got that one. So the dog gets at you first, and then the cat sits on your chair, and then
Okay,
there's
let her
another
talk,
animal.
Mo.
Okay, go ahead.
It's okay. It's
So
okay.
you see
What's the
Jim? Okay, you can tell us.
I guess, Carly, you could relate the story of how I determine whether you're sick or not.
Oh no. Yeah, well, it's very different. It's very laid back. I am a like Google Doc spreadsheet like addict, and that does not work at DA. I like planning. I like to know what to do if one plan fails. I like to have a schedule. I like to have a content marketing calendar. We probably have 3 by now, and none of them are being used. So it's very different. I just need to learn how to go with the flow, and it's not a bad thing. It's just I think to kind of like, okay, if this doesn't work, let's do that. It actually taught me a lot how to go with the flow and, do not take the calendars and deadlines so seriously. I do like them, but it's also good to be more comfortable with that flexibility. I love working, with people with different backgrounds. As you saw, like Jim started doing something else. I used to do something else. And I think that really adds to the team because we all have like very different skills into like one, role. So I think everybody in the company does more than one specific thing. And that really makes it like a learning process every day in a good way. I also love that it's very customer oriented, so we can take our time to actually talk to the customers. You asked how we get feedback, and we've been using more like CRM tools to kind of reach out to people constantly, especially with COVID. I think we lost that connection we had at conferences, and being close to customers and meeting new people. It was a great way to bring new customers in. And we don't have that at the moment. We thought it was gonna come back soon, but I don't think it is. So I think using the CRM tools, learning how to use them to kind of be closer to the customers and really listening to them. I think we really try to, understand why a tool is not working for someone and take the time to do that. So I think that's a really strong part of our marketing. It's more that connection and really like, doing things that make sense, not only try to rank on, AdWords. We do have AdWords, but it's not the focus. And social media is important as well. But actually during COVID, we kind of backtracked on social media. So I could focus more on that interaction, like customer feedback. So, it's not a crazy day. Cats don't run around me all day. I am a little bit allergic to cats, so that would be a nightmare. But we do have the flexibility. We have Callie, and if we're having a rough day, we can take her out for a walk, and that is really special, I think.
That's fantastic. I mean, it reminds me of Miriam and me. Miriam talks Excel, and I ask her, "What's Excel?" And she's like, "We have to."
I said, "Look at the spreadsheet, and
she
you'll
says
know
spreadsheet,
the
and I'm
answer
like,
to the
what?
question."
I'm like, okay, Miriam, I'm looking at my spreadsheet on this screen. I'm just watching a YouTube video on this side. I'm like, okay. And Miriam says, tomorrow at this. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. So I guess in the creative field, it's very different. And Miriam has had the similar experience to kind of, I guess, go with the flow. And I've had to follow, toe the line when it comes to planning and strategy, I guess, with how she thinks. And she's met someone like me that thinks completely, I'm sure, like Jim, off the tracks, just kind of comes up to this creative brain that does this kind of thing. So it's great that you've been exposed to this, Carlo, because it's a fantastic learning curve for you, I think. And I think Jim's an awesome mentor from what little I've spoken to him about. And I think you have a long, really interesting journey ahead. And Jim's promised to be around for the next 100 years, and we've got it July, so we expect to see him in that big Max chair. Hopefully, he buys that chair off or something. So,
well, I think part of it is just the fact that we're a small company. We're only 7 people, so it's hard to. It's not like we don't have any schedules or planning or anything like that. You do need some of that stuff, but
of course,
it's. Things always take longer than you think it's going to, and just And like Carla said, everybody wears multiple different hats, and which is good. And sometimes it makes things a little bit crazier than it should be.
Are you guys going to be kind of concentrating on your social media a little bit more within the next few months or year compared to where you are now? Is there a strategy behind that?
Maybe. I don't know. Carla, what do you think?
I think we've been watching what's going on with, other companies as well.
Right.
And because we don't have that face-to-face, the conferences, we need to find different ways of producing content. And as Jim said, it's a small company. Like, we can't produce massive amounts of content because like the marketing is basically me and Jim. So I think we've been watching like the reviews and things happening, and it's a lot around hardware as well. So we are trying to come up with different ways of creating content. At the same time that we are thinking about different products. So I think I've been trying to share more of, the industry news as well. We have a partnership with Gals and Gear, which is an amazing group of people. You guys should check them out. They're having some workshops focused on women in film and video, and just doing partnerships and coming up with, we are planning on doing more video tutorials soon, so we can kind of share them on social media. But I think it's part of the whole strategy of just putting content out there. It's not really specific for social media. It's just in general having more content for people to connect.
It's quite an interesting time. Sorry, go ahead.
With so many more projects being like explainers, as they're called, which has pretty much exploded on the internet, and interviews and this sort of thing, that even for me, I'm having to do more of that kind of thing. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into Transcriptive's rough cutter aspect in order to start working with that, because that is really getting to be one of the biggest things I need to do when editing, is cut to what are the words that are being said. And so I think that is a product that's really needed, and it's something that Adobe is certainly not providing.
I mean, it's definitely their speech to text is definitely different. It's very caption oriented, so it's great for that. But for doing some of the other things that you can do once you have all of your video transcribed, it's their speech to text, or their text panel is pretty limited.
Your search capabilities are awesome.
The search thing is really kind of a big deal, and we're actually working on an update to Power Search, and that should be released in the next week or two. So that's coming out. But which will actually really enhances the search capabilities and lets you query it a little. Has some more advanced search features in it to better find things.
That's fantastic.
So we are coming up on time to be wrapping up here, and I'm really looking forward to doing this trying out your products and trying to break them and doing a review. So if people are interested in connecting and knowing when we're doing that, please comment, please send us a message, and we'll make sure that you see it when it comes.
But it can't be over. They're so interesting. I have so much more to ask them.
Right.
And we haven't even really got into Beauty Box yet, even.
Well,
we haven't gotten to anything.
Or Flickr free, or any of it.
Flickr free. I mean,
Flickr free. Geez.
I mean, no, they can't go.
That's for the review show.
Flickr free is an incredible tool by itself.
Yeah.
Well, keep an eye on the website, because that's where we're really pushing all of our content.
All right.
They go back to the social. What?
Your light wrap, is your light wrap also undergoing something a little bit more?
No, I mean we just released an update for that for M1.
Fantastic.
And fixes a few bugs. But if you're doing green screen stuff, light wrap is a cool tool.
It's a really awesome tool. Neil, you got to see this thing in action.
We are going to save all this for the reviews, okay?
And we have demos online, so people can try everything. We have free demos online. People can download, try. and reach out to us if they have any questions even before the review. So
Yes, because you're a very responsive company. We know that.
we are.
I want to reach out by phone because Carla's voice just sounds so nice to hear.
You're probably gonna get Ryan and George first, and then you can ask for me.
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye.
Having us.
Been great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great.